Let me call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Portable microphone.
This meeting has been called to order. This is a meeting of the City Council, also serving as the successor agency to the redevelopment and successor to the Housing Authority. At this particular time, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance by Mrs. Walker and the invocation by Mrs. Sanders.
Followed by roll call.
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we've come with bowed heads and humbled hearts. We want to ask special blessing on those who are homeless. Please provide them shelter. For those who are hungry, help us to provide them food. And for those who are in sorrow, help us to comfort them. For the men and women on the battlefield, Lord, we ask that you would protect them. Keep us mindful of the duties and responsibilities that you have bestowed upon us, and that we honor this by serving the citizens of this community. These and all blessings we ask in thy Son's name. Amen. Amen.
Diane, can you do the roll call?
Mayor Solomon.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Silva.
Present.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
And Councilmember Sanders.
Oh, here. Here.
City Attorney's report. There's going to be two of those. When we had the meeting at 12 noon, she did not give her report, so she's going to be given two.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to the December 18th, 2012 meeting, on a motion by Councilmember Sanders, seconded by Councilmember Villegas Walker, the City Council met in closed session at 12:34 p.m. pursuant to the closed session statement posted with the agenda. All council members were present. A report was given to the council on the anticipated litigation item. There is no action to report, but direction was given to staff. The city manager excused himself from closed session at 12:38 p.m. and did not participate in the report. With regard to the pending litigation item entitled City of Bellflower et al. Versus Montesantos et al., Sacramento Superior Court case number 2012-8000-1269, a report was given for information only with no action to report. Closed session concluded at 1:15 p.m. With respect to today's closed session, on a motion by Councilmember Villegas Walker, second by Councilmember Silva, the City Council met in closed session at 11:34 a.m. pursuant to the closed session statement posted with the agenda. Councilmember Jackson was absent and all other council members were present. There was an added item to the closed session as the need to take action arose after the agenda had been posted. Moved by Councilmember Silva, seconded by Councilmember Villegas Walker to add the anticipated litigation item to the closed session agenda. Motion carried unanimously with one absence. A report was given by staff for information only. A report was given to council on the anticipated litigation item listed on the closed session statement for information only with no action to report. With regard to City versus Casron Services Corporation, DBA Play Solutions, Imperial County Superior Court case number ECU 06590, a report was given to council. There is no action to report, but direction was given to staff. Closed session concluded at 12:15 p.m. And those conclude my reports, Mr. Mayor.
Presentation of certificates of recognition to volunteers for the new El Centro Library. And it seems like there's only one person here out of 91 that participated in the volunteer. And her name is Holly, is it Delano? Delolio. Well, I'm getting close. Why don't you come on down? We certainly want to thank you.
Why don't you come right over here?
Ruben, is there space for her to stand here? Yeah. Yeah, well, but Mr. Solomon's not going down. But if Mr. Solomon is not going down, we don't know if is she able to stand up? Yeah. Sure, yes. Can you get over in the picture then?
We're going to try to
My goodness. $500, that's a lot.
great. At the state of the city, we're going to try to give out the other 91.
All right.
So looking forward to that. But thank you very much for coming, taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Items appearing under this section, which is a public comment, have submitted a written request to the city clerk a minimum of 1 week prior to the regular meeting. At this time, we have a presentation, but it's going to be by Susie Carrillo.
Good evening, Mayor Solomon and City Council members. Anyways, I'm not Charlotte. Hopefully for the next quarter, she will be here. I'll go to Raleigh, so I'm going to do my two different dates. But for some reason, they always have to be on the same day, so she's going to Raleigh update today. But I'm here on behalf of Carroll County Health Commission, and I'm currently the president. Hopefully in July, someone else will be taking over. Mr. Jackson is my president. Been it for years and years. So I wanted to give a quick update of activities that we've had since July, and we came back to believe in November, in August, September 1st, and October. We've had 23 reported projects completed since July, our fiscal year started. Up to today, we have a total estimated economic impact of $423,500. And right now, we're working on 3 projects that are newer. One of them is possibly a motion picture. So we're not privy to publicize who it is or what production it is until we actually get confirmation. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll be able to let the public know about it. So upcoming events is, you recall last year we had the Sundance Film Festival, the Film Forward portion of that. Well, they have committed to coming back again this February, which we're really excited about. They're planning on being here February 26th through March 1st. And the locations where we're going to have the public screenings are going to be throughout Carroll Valley and Mexicali, but specifically at the El Centro Library, the El Centro Community Garden, Chief Creek Skate Shop, IBC, Raleigh Southwest and Calexico High School, as well as Mexicali House. So once Charlotte gets confirmation of the schedule, we'll go ahead and start publicizing that through the media and through the February 26th to March 1st. So we're glad that that's coming back to the valley. Our second event that we're looking at is a beer, wine, and chocolate event, kind of like a beer wine tasting that we're looking for April 12th, maybe the 13th, depending on what we get. We've actually talked to a couple of location sites for it, so we're hoping to confirm that within the next couple of weeks or so. So we will be letting you know about that event as well. And of course, as members, we get assistance for that as well. And then finally is our third annual Carolina Film Festival. We changed it to August because there were too many activities going on in April. Every time we changed our date, then other events came up and that were taken away from our attendance, so we just decided to do completely go away. We're looking at July, but Comic-Con is in July, so that's not going to work. So we're looking at August 2nd and 3rd right now of 2013 for our third annual film festival. So once we get situated with that and got more information, we'll be sure to pass it out, and we'll also have provide that information. So, do you have any questions or comments?
Have a very busy schedule, but congratulations on all of these activities.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Charlotte has done an excellent job in, getting a lot of marketing out there for us. She's attending trade shows, and she's actually hiring someone to assist her on a commission type basis to bring up the membership and then also offer sponsorship, because that's what will keep our expenses down especially for the film festival. So we hope to have that person on February. So that's going to help us quite a bit. So she has tremendous. Can't do it without us. So we'll keep whatever it takes to keep her.
Well, you did a nice job, Susie.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be back, hopefully in a couple of months, but you will hear from us on the beer tasting event that we will host in April. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Consent agenda items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may pull consent items to be considered separate at a time determined by the mayor. Does anyone have a consent?
I'll move to approve items 3 through 6.
Second.
Was moved by Jackson, second by Mrs. Walker. Please vote.
Motion carries 4 with 1 absent.
Now we have the unfinished business of making the appointments to the different committees. All I simply did was just kept everything the way it was. In the IVAC, I have Mrs. Sanders. LTA, it's Mrs. Sanders. I saw where they have a safety. A safe.
That's all under the umbrella of ICTC, LTA, and SAFE are all under one umbrella, Mr. Solomon.
Good. CJP,
I'm sorry, Mr. Solomon, who is Ms. Sanders' alternate for IVAC and ICTC and SAFE, or the LTA?
well, in the IVAC, it was going to be,
Should probably be the same person as the alternate for all three, right?
yeah. I know Mr. Silva wanted an opportunity to have a try, but
So the alternate for IVAG, LTA, and SAFE.
Mayor, I just know, I think it's a typo. We also need IVRMA as part of that group, because they all meet the same night, the ICTC, the LTA, the SAFE, and the IVRMA, which is the recycling group.
And for those who, this is all under one umbrella, and each meeting just follows the other.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Walker. The CJPIA rep is Jason, and the city manager or his designee is the alternate. El Centro Regional Medical Center, that is Mr. Silva and myself. Air pollution control, I don't remember us attending any of their meetings.
Yeah.
Do we need to leave them on?
We did one where the three of us showed up.
Yes,
Yeah,
so,
Yeah.
and I think that there's some EPA-related issues with air pollution control coming to conclusion, but I think we do have an appointment on that advisory board that we need to make.
Okay, well, we'll leave it as it stands.
I think that,
It says right here that the mayor pro tem is.
Yes.
yeah, so I think that that's
That would be one.
that's me, and then you are the alternate, okay?
Okay.
So you guys don't need to show up,
Thank
you
you.
and Ms. Sanders. It'll be
Well,
Mr. Solomon and
thank you
myself
so
will
much
work
for-
that out.
Airport Advisory Committee, Mr. Jackson. Imperial County Film Commission, it's myself. Chamber of Commerce representative, I've changed it around a little, it's the mayor and
so yourself?
Ms. Walker. United Way, Mr. Jackson, and Villegas Walker. Mexican Liaison, Mr. Silva. Citizen Advisory Committee, Mr. Jackson. Transfer Station Working Committee, Mrs. Sanders and myself. Now, they have some policy working groups. I was trying to see if anyone, well, I was going to ask to see if anyone has completed their tasks so we can take some of these tasks off. I had mentioned earlier that the city charter task force has already completed their responsibility. Should we take that off? But I hear that there were other things that they were also asked to do.
Well, things come up on an
Yeah.
as-needed basis, so I
So-
think, for example, that escalation clause that the Chamber of Commerce is interested in having the city consider with regard to the prevailing wage project. I think from time to time, there will be items that get brought up that could be handled under the city charter, so I do think, Mr. Mayor, that task force needs to continue
Okay?
on, obviously on an ad hoc basis. The Affordable Housing Policy Working Group, Ms. Viacania, with the adoption of the most recent RENA and the approval of our housing plan, do we need to have the Affordable Housing Working Group continue?
I don't see a reason why.
I think that one can be.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, rather than having a downtown revitalization, the issue that's pending there right now is that vendor preference task force item, but that really affects the entire city, not just downtown. I'm wondering if, when items like that come up, if they could simply be referred to the city charter task force and have that working group a little more active instead of having these fragmented groups that only consider items from time to time.
What is the pleasure of the rest of the council?
If we would like to collapse some of these in together, I don't know that it would pose any real problem. As you remember, Mr. Mayor, we did start this, the downtown revitalization, and it did, Ms. Walker is correct, the vendor preference came under that because it was the downtown merchants that seemed to have the catalyst for us to look at this. The city charter is also an area, and because we have the charter, that we're able to look at the vendor preference. So if we want to collapse those two together, that would be fine.
Well, we
Right.
just,
For me.
Yes, I have no difficulty with that.
I don't have any problem with it being collapsed.
okay.
Then
so-
that would change the makeup. That would change the makeup a little bit. If it's collapsed into the city charter, it would change the makeup as to the attendees or the participants.
Well, we just had a meeting with,
You and I just had the meeting.
yes.
So can we continue with the mayor and Ms. Sanders as the city charter task force?
All right.
And then just move that vendor preference item into your bailiwick?
All right.
Okay, so that'll be Sanders and Sullivan.
For clarification, we're still maintaining a downtown task force for if there's issues in the downtown? We're just taking that
Yeah, it's
issue and
good.
moving it to the charter task force?
Well,
Okay.
we don't have anything active though right now for downtown revitalization. So it seems to me that downtown revitalization could be addressed either under community enhancement or through the city's economic development department.
Or on a, excuse me, or, Mr. Mayor, on an ad-needed basis. Oftentimes, when these committees have folded, if it's necessary to go back and revisit, then we just pull them back together. So it depends on what's coming. Thus far, we have nothing in the downtown, because the group has not yet coalesced. But does the city still have an interest in trying to revitalize the downtown? Yes. So, community enhancement, we have regional cooperation. That's still important, I think.
Who sits on that?
I show Gaius Walker and Jackson.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
it's currently held by Councilmember Jackson and Walker,
Walker.
Regional Cooperation.
Okay, the council chambers ADA committee, that's,
Is that the council chambers?
yeah, so that's,
Cheryl.
That's Jackson and Walker?
okay. Joint land use, naval base, policy group,
So, yeah, I think I was your alternate.
Yeah, but, and I think that there was some confusion on this area here, Mr. Mayor. That was, I'm not sure if we were confused if it was joint land use or the joint strike fighter. And they're in those, there
I
were
think
two.
there's two things. I
There
think that
are
there's
two
the-
things,
the-
but
The task force for the joint land use, I thought that was Mr. Jackson and myself,
Mhm.
and it was going to be a county-wide effort, and the county was putting together that task force to develop a strategic plan for the area around Minneapolis Central.
as we prepare for the joint strike fighter.
Exactly, but
Okay.
the Joint Strike Fighter, Ms. Sanders, I believe you've been our representative
I have.
to that, so, but, Mr. Duran, have you heard anything from the County of Imperial putting together that joint land use
Well,
study?
yes, Ms. Diacona, the technical group has met, and her and I are on that, and they selected the vendor. Would you like to speak to that? Maybe better, a little more detail. But they have selected a contractor to start handling the work associated with developing the land use policy.
During the summer, the technical group met and interviewed the contractors who submitted an RFP. A contractor has been selected, and it is my understanding that the work has begun. Now, once we have a draft of the study, we're going to reconvene as a group, the technical group, and also the advisory group, to review the draft and move forward. That's where we're at.
Okay. So, that stays the
Is
same.
that where all the other cities are supposed to be sending representatives for that?
Yes, the advisory groups, there's, many agencies are involved, there's several players. However, the technical groups are basically the city of Imperial, the county, the city of El Central.
I think that's it.
That's it for the technical group.
thank you.
Okay, so,
And then we have the strategic planning task force,
is that Jackson?
and that's,
Mr. Jackson and myself.
Okay.
So now do we know what task we're assigned? The Mexicali liaison, did you name that one?
yeah,
Mr.
I
Silva?
thought I did. The Mexican liaison is
Mr.
Mr.
Silva.
Silva. Citizen Advisory Committee,
Centinela
Centinela Prison, Jackson Transfer Station, Working Committee, Mrs. Sanders, and myself.
Okay.
Mayor Solomon, I need clarification on the Community Enhancement Task Force. Will that remain the same? Villegas, Walker, and Sanders?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we just go, have a motion and a second on this?
Okay.
Move approval of the mayor's recommendations for the committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Sanders, second by Mrs. Walker. Please vote.
The motion carries 5-0.
Discussion and any necessary action regarding the existence of ordinance providing for the deferral of payment of certain development fee, impact fee. Norma Villarcano.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and members of the council, the item before you is a request to extend an existing ordinance that we have at this time, providing for the deferral of payment of development impact fees as well as sewer and water capacity fees to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy or a year thereafter as approved by the city manager. This ordinance is something that is, I think, would be helpful for the developers. Every time we meet with potential developers, this is the first thing they ask: can the city reduce the fees, or how can the city assist us? And this is a way to assist the developers in proceeding with the construction phase of the project. So at this time, we're asking that the council extend the ordinance for another 2 years.
To 2015.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Silver, second by Ms. Walker. Please vote.
The motion carries 5-0.
This is ordinance number
Ordinance number 1301.
1301. Ordinance of the City Council of the City of El Centro, California, providing for the deferral of payment for a certain development impact fee, waived reading and passed its first reading.
Got that one done.
Okay.
So now,
Discussion and any necessary action regarding the expansion of the Southern San Diego Recycling Marketing Development Zone to include the City of El Centro. Bob Doffett, Program Manager.
City Council members, Bob Doffett with the Imperial Valley Resource Management. This is on the RMDZ zone. The Recycling Market Development Zone Program was developed by, was established really by the state to combine recycling materials and business expansions and business developments. And it's also to help in our efforts for our diversion efforts and provide jobs and so forth. There's a total of 33 RMDZ zones in California, and San Diego has 2 of the zones. There's North County and also the South County. The South County wants to expand their RMDZ zone to include Imperial Valley. The lead agency on this is the City of Chula Vista, and they've assured us that there will be no cost to Imperial County or cities. And they're absorbing all cost. One of the things that I neglected to mention a little earlier here is that one of the things on the RMDZ zone, the state offers a low interest loans and up to $2 million per project. And they also offer technical resources and trying to help develop businesses with recycled materials. A couple of things to note is that the RMDZ zone will not have a negative land use or environmental impacts. It will also does not supersede any current land use policies or regulations, and that does not relax any permitting or environmental regulations. And businesses that operate in the RMDZ zone must still meet the same zoning standards and obtain the same environmental permits. The IVDC has told me that they have several interested parties in RMDZ in Imperial Valley, which is an awfully good note. The other thing, the reason I'm here tonight is to get approval for the RMDZ zone resolution, and I'd like to mention that the Board of Supervisors have approved the Imperial counties, and we have City of Westmoreland and Califat completed, and the City of Raleigh has it on their agenda as well tonight. And with all I got left is in Imperial tomorrow night, and then Hopeville and Calexico at the end of the month. So so it looks like I should have everything done, hopefully, at the end of the month, so we can get this submitted to the City of Chula Vista, and then they can get their packet together for Cal Recycle deadline, which is in March. So, any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan, is this an opportunity for new entrepreneurs to get into the business, or how will this impact the current waste haulers for the cities, the counties, etc.?
Well, the way it's going to impact it is create jobs. And first of all, it has to involve recycling content materials. Whether it be it could be like, I've had people come to me about putting in tire recycling facilities here, and something like this would really help that because of the low interest rate, and it's hard to get loans from other loaning institutions because this is designated just for recycling. So if it meets the criteria, the state will provide the loans.
Does the facilities have different prices that they charge?
I'm sorry, sir.
Does the facilities have different prices? Like the group from San Diego, are we in the process of selling recycled material to them as opposed to doing it locally?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Mayor, for me?
Yes.
This group doesn't buy or sell any of those. They work encouraging businesses to open that would either do the recycling or accept those recyclable materials and reuse them. The purpose is to expand that industry.
Okay. Then that's good.
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Jackson.
Is this for new businesses, or can existing recyclers take advantage of these loans to expand business?
It's for all the three: expanding business, new developing business, or existing businesses. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'll move for approval.
Approved by Mr. Jackson.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Sanders. Please vote.
Your motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
That
go
was
ahead.
resolution 13-01.
01?
discussion and any necessary action regarding a $20,000 loan to Gala Innovation LLC, intended at the city's business industrial incubator facility under the city project job program. Marcelo Piedra.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Very happy to present this request for a loan in the amount of $20,000 to Gila Innovations LLC. They are currently a tenant at our business incubator facility. They are requesting the $20,000 loan through the Project Jobs program that the city has available. This is actually a program that we have funded through the IID Local Entity Mitigation Competitive Grant Program. And basically what it is providing assistance to either new or existing incubator tenants to assist them with their business needs. The request is to assist Gila Innovations with the purchase of inventory and also to provide working capital. Gila Innovations actually expanded from Yuma. They've been in operation since 1999, and they ventured out to the city of El Centro or the Imperial Valley. They're basically in the business of providing parts and equipment to agricultural related businesses. And part of the IID local entity is to actually assist businesses that have been impacted by following, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And this clearly is a business that has that falls under that category. We did present it to the Loan Review Committee, which is the first step in presenting these type of loan requests. However, you as the City Council are the final approval authority, and that's why we're presenting it to you. In terms of job, they currently already have a full-time position here in El Centro. However, with this funding, they are going to be creating another full-time job. So we are asking that you consider approval of this loan so that we can assist Gila Innovations with their business needs.
I'd like to ask, how much did we get from the IID?
I'm sorry?
How much did we get?
We received a $130,000 grant. And what we have is a combination of providing $104,000 has been set aside for loans, and the remaining amount is actually to operate the grant program. We've also done some aggressive marketing advertising for Project Jobs. You'll see, we have a billboard on Dogwood, and we've also done some extensive printed media, and it's been a really aggressive form of advertising that we've done for this program, and it has actually really generated interest.
Well, you are to be commended, because after the state cut you down, it seems like you're not really down, you're still up and running. And that is really something to be commended for. Also, at the same time, we need to take advantage of the money at the IID because others are doing it, and we have such great programs. It would be an opportunity for residents in El Centro from the city to see that we are also looking out for their best interests in everything we do.
Yes.
Ms. Walker.
Ms. Piedra, can I just review the proposed loan terms? $20,000, 0% interest rate. The proposed loan term is 3 years.
Yes.
Was that a lump sum repayment at the end of 3 years?
No, basically what it is the way that the program has been set up, it is based on it's a forgivable loan basically. And again, because of the impacts that the business has suffered, what we have is we have the program set up based on Stimulus 1 and Stimulus 2 funding. If the business has been affected, then they fall under Stimulus 1. So basically up to 90% of their loan can be forgivable.
Okay.
If they fall under Stimulus 2, only 75% would be forgivable, as long as they meet the criteria and they pay their rent on time and they create the jobs that they say they're going to create. Then we consider those accomplishments.
So 90% forgivable over the 3-year term?
Over 3 years.
As long as they meet the other criteria?
That's correct.
Okay, and how do we verify that that full-time job is created and retained for that period of time?
Basically, what we do is we monitor them. We ask for information from the business to make sure that, that individual is still on payroll. And so they provide that to us. In terms of the rent, we are the landlord, so we would know if
We
they're
know
paying
if
rent.
if they're delayed?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
It's a good program, I think, Mr. Mayor, and I think it's an
What is your
opportunity
pleasure?
for us.
Yeah. It is a good program.
And
Move approval.
Been
Second?
suggested by Mrs. Walker, second by Mrs. Sanders. Please vote.
The motion carries 5-0.
I have a discussion and any necessary action regarding the city council members attending the League, National League of Cities Conference, March the 9th through the 13th in Washington, D.C. As you saw from the narrative that was added to this agenda, it doesn't seem like we have a lot of money left. I think it was like $4,000. And for a person to go, it was 1,000, I think 300 and something.
3,327.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, this council certainly has been very gracious in allowing me to go many times over as their delegate and then also as a member of the advisory council for the National League of Cities. However, this year I'm not quite sure that it would be a great benefit for us and for yours truly anyway. And the reason I'm saying that is we still have so much that's in Washington that's up in the air. The sequestration is still going on. There's a lot of debate about it. Unless we just want to go and see Juan Vargas, I can't say that this would be of a benefit for us to make this trip at this time. I would suggest that instead we write to our senators, Boxer and Feinstein, giving them the understanding of some of our needs and stress that and ask if our representative, Mr. Vargas, would act as the floor monitor when it gets in the House. We all know that the House is where the funds are appropriated and the senators would be the ones actually trying to reconcile that. So yours truly do not believe at this point it would be of value for us to make this trip. We could ask for Mr. Vargas to visit us when he's back in the district and give us a update as to what's happening in Washington. So unless someone else has a different view, certainly I would be willing to hear it, but I just can't see the need to make this trip at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I would concur with Ms. Sanders. Given the state of Washington,
Yes.
Washington D.C., I don't think that this would be the appropriate time. And I think that given our remaining travel balance, I think that there may be an opportunity for the Joint Strike Fighter team to go back again for their lobbying efforts. I think that that maybe is, we get more bang for the buck participating in that trip. Also, I know that there's a number of League of California City Policy Committees that go unfilled every year from this valley with no representation. If we were going to spend our dollars, our travel dollars anywhere, I would encourage us to look to the League policy committees and membership there and maybe defer some of those costs associated because those are not picked up by the League. However, we know that the state of California benefits greatly by the League's influence, I think. So I think in lieu of a trip to Washington, D.C., perhaps we retain some of this funding for the Joint Strike Fighter Task Force and or participation in the League of Cities policy committees.
Well, I'm hoping that there's one thing that we do, and that is when we went back to Washington, Marcella's team put together a packet, and we were able to drop it off at Feinstein and Boxers
And Filner.
and Filner offices, and that really kind of gave them a look at El Centro, an opportunity to see a community that was in the process of growing, doing the good things to stay afloat, wasn't laying off people, wasn't overspending. We just simply had a great organization being ran down here. And I'm hoping that we still are able to accomplish that in whatever we do, because I think it's a benefit, and it only comes back to help us and not hurt us. So anyway, that's what I would like to see us.
Well, I was not planning to attend this conference regardless because of my scheduling conflict, so I do agree. And given the experience by Ms. Sanders and Ms. Walker in terms of the productivity of these trips, I take their comments to heart. So that's the recommendation. I would concur with that.
And that is the recommendation.
We're not plan for it.
Okay. So do we want to put that into a motion?
Do we need action?
It was more discussion.
It was just for discussion, and I don't think there's any action that's necessary. Unless Washington has a complete 180, and they just may do that between now and March,
I doubt it.
but we'll see. But I still think that we can accomplish this by just making sure our representatives, our senator and Mr. Vargas, understand the needs of this community.
One of the things we appreciate about you, Ms. Sanders, is your belief in miracles.
Eternal optimist.
Okay, the successor agencies have nothing to report. That is the redevelopment or the housing. The City Council welcomes your input at this time. Members of the public may address the City Council on any matter not listed on the posted agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no actions will be taken on any issues brought forth under public comment. Please complete a speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. Seeing that no one's moving up toward the podium, we'll move on. Do we need a recess?
No.
Mayor and council members' reports. Ms. Sanders?
I don't have anything.
Cheryl?
I don't have a report. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a report, but I did wish to ask, and I wasn't sure if it would come here. I guess this is the best time. I did wish to ask Ms. Reister if she would come forward and give us an update as to what's going on over at MLK Pavilion with the skate park and all of those things. It's not a report, but I think this would be something that would be beneficial for the entire council. I've had a lot of inquiries from members of the community, and Ms. Reister was very gracious to provide her time and energy and certainly her knowledge, and made a presentation to the El Centro Salvation Army. And I just thought it would be nice if she would do likewise here for us.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I do have an update for you. As Ms. Sanders mentioned, I saw her at the Salvation Army meeting and I gave them an update. So,
Oh, there's one more? Thank you. Mr. Hagan, you're going to have to teach one more person to be able to do that so you can take a vacation.
It's like I had it earlier and then who knows, but you do have it in front. Oh, thank you very much. And
Makes them indispensable.
Job security.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. So the update for Dr. Martin Luther King Park, we do have the 3 proposed projects that we're working on. First, the sports pavilion. And the pre-qualification of bidders closes on February 12th, so coming up just in a few more weeks. The updated plans and specifications are currently in legal for review, and the hope is to bring it to council for authorization to rebid on the first meeting in February. So that's where we are with that. If you have any other additional questions. The skate park design has finally been completed, so we are just waiting now for Kimley Horn to submit the final drawings that include the prefabricated restroom and snack bar that we decided to go with after receiving the bids for the sunflower snack bar and seeing what they were coming in at. They were way over budget, so we had to redo a little redesign, and after careful review, it was determined that just doing a prefabricated building is the way to go. So still a little bit higher, I think, than we were anticipating, but in budget. So there's a little bit of redesign they need to do to fit that new building in there, and they should have the plans to me hopefully by February 8th. In the meantime, the construction manager, the pre-qualification of bidders, and the bid specifications and contract documents are in legal for review. And our hope is to bring that to council on the second meeting in February, on the 19th. The Aquatic Center, as you know, the city allocated $9 million in the 2011 RDA bonds for this project. We're basically waiting to hear from the Department of Finance on the safe harbor for the successor agency to use the funds. We're hoping, we have an anticipation of April. May is kind of our best guess right now. So once we get that okay, we'll move forward with the project.
I'll mention that the SCAG Regional Council is planning a trip to Sacramento in February, I believe around February 20th. So I will have some time. If there are specific people that I could talk with about this item, I would be happy to make those meetings happen.
Okay.
Maybe you and I can talk a little bit, or Mr. Grant.
Well, that's my update, unless there's any other.
Because we're talking about safe harbor, it says we had our, of course, we went to Sacramento. We had a good success there. Other cities are calling us about the process we used. But most importantly, I think, is that our first two ROPS, which is the, always get the obligation payment schedule, revised. That's the revised obligation payment schedule. Recognized. We've been through two, and so far the 2011 bonds have been recognized, but there is actually a letter we need, and our bond attorneys have recommended that we should wait for that letter so we're no longer at risk. Now,
The letter from whom?
the Department of Finance will declare, and there's actually, it's a determination of, I'm looking to miss, finding of completion. And the term safe harbor was used in the legislation. This is, once you have this, you should be able to move forward on all your projects.
Okay.
So, and all cities will be coming out at the same time.
Right. Mr. Mayor, may I? Yes. We're waiting for a letter from the Department of Finance saying that we are in safe harbor, we could utilize the funds.
Right.
And once we get the letter, according to our bond counsel, we should have, that should give us a green light to move forward.
As we understand everything today.
Today, okay.
Now, there's some items that still have to, before that letter, it's not just that letter, there's several actions that are in the works that we just met with the oversight board.
Yes.
We sent off the housing documents. Yes. Payments are being made, meet and confer meetings. So there's a number of activities that occur between now and the spring, but all is going along smoothly as it can be, given that everyone's still trying to figure out what that law, how it's going to be implemented, including the state.
Thank you. Ms. Reister, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I also had asked you to get some information for me. Could you
Do you want me to
share that?
report on that?
Yeah,
Sure.
please.
Mr. Mayor had asked me to figure out how many trees we have in the city and how many need to be replaced and what that cost would be. And we have 1,234 trees that we are responsible for. We have 32 that need to be replaced, and it costs about $150 to replace each tree. And there are some other trees that have been removed that could potentially be replaced, but those were the figures. So I think it was a little over $4,000 to replace all the trees.
You know, it was what it reminded me of was when I was a kid here in the Imperial Valley. I grew up here in El Centro. During the summertime, we would go barefooted. And what you would do, because it was so hot and there wasn't a lot of trees down here, you would run to a tree and you'd wait and stay there until you could figure out where the next big tree is. And then you'd take off and you'd run there. So with the condition that our cities are in right now, we couldn't even replace those trees if we wanted to. So we are denying a kid an opportunity to experience that good life. And so I wanted to put that into a presentation that I'm giving, and I want to thank you for that information.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
150 trees. Did you say 150 of our trees need to be replaced?
32, and it costs $150 per tree.
Is that something the community enhancement group could look at, or is that something the community service club?
That'll be in your, that'll be part of budget requests.
All right, but what I'm saying is the community.
Services Commission?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Walker. The Community Service Commission had once upon a time talked about trees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. That was just...
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, Chris, are these trees in our parks?
Yes.
All of our common area park
Yes.
areas? So is that something that we need 32 trees. Is this something where we look at a private-public type partnership with maybe
Yes,
citizens?
and we get
Service
donations
clubs.
of trees. I mean, we planted, I want to say, about 50 trees this last fiscal year. So so these are just about 32 more that need to be replaced, and we do put it in our budget, and we do replace so many trees every year.
Yes.
This is just this is where we are today, and how many need to be replaced. So
I'll tell you what, I'll sponsor a tree.
okay, thank you.
Maybe my colleagues would like to join in.
What I would recommend, and there'll be
Service
plenty
club.
of members of the El Centro Rotary
Or the
Club
service club.
At the breakfast next week, the State of the City.
Mm-hmm.
Every April, Rotary clubs around the world participate in a Rotarian at Work Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the perfect project that the Rotary Club in the Valley or El Centro would look to participate in. So
Okay.
we'll get that on their agenda.
Okay, great. If
And-
they want me to come out and talk to it too, please let me know.
Perfect.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
And not to be outdone by the Rotarians, but the Quanians would do the same.
There we are. Now we have
32?
trees. They have it.
16 apiece.
Yeah.
Did you want us to continue with our reports?
Yes.
Okay. Regarding task force reports, there is a Community Enhancement Task Force meeting tomorrow at 11:30. With regard to council member reports, the city attorney's annual review, it's time to be done, and I'm wondering if the mayor would like to appoint a couple of members, or I think, was it you and I that were on the city attorney task force? Should we meet then to get the ball started on that?
Sure.
Okay. Ms. Becker and Ms. Caldwell, if we could add that to the next closed session agenda, that would be great. At the Chamber of Commerce meeting on Monday, I was not able to attend, but I did work with city staff, Mr. Duran and Grace, to put together, and thank you, Finance Director, put together information for the Chamber with regard to the transient occupancy tax, the amount collected, how it's expended, how it's budgeted for. The Chamber responded by putting together a working group to meet with the city with regard to the TOT. I said that it would probably be a little more manageable in a small group as opposed to continuing it on the board of directors agenda. So Harold Walk, David Tyler, the Chamber CEO, and myself will be meeting to see if the Chamber has recommendations for alternative or different expenditures to come out of or be covered by the TOT. So kind of a preview of coming attractions. I am wanting to put an item in front of the city council, and that is whether or not we should oppose the Department of Transportation's award of the Central Air Service to Seaport. I was very disappointed to read that we would be flown from Imperial to the San Diego commuter airport only, which means that once we get to San Diego, we have to go back through security, we have to get our bags from the commuter terminal to the main terminal for us to continue. So many of us, if we're going to fly out of San Diego, we simply drive to San Diego anyway. The benefit of the SkyWest, the current carrier, and why we took a position to support continuing is because it got us into LA, where we could continue on to other destinations. You'll recall that part of the Seaport proposal, one of the options was to utilize Burbank, which would have been okay, not great, but it would have at least allowed us to connect to a wider range of locations out of Burbank. You'll note that Department of Transportation selected a different option, so we don't get anywhere other than San Diego. So I'm wondering if perhaps the City Council wants to take on seeing if there's something that we can do to encourage the Department of Transportation to either go back and take another look at Seaport and or consider an alternative of awarding that contract or retaining SkyWest.
The Board of Supervisors were a strong proponent of Seaport.
Thinking that Burbank was going to be the option.
And so I would hope that if this council make a decision to engage a dialogue with the Department of Transportation, that the Board of Supervisors are on board with that.
I've talked
Because
to
when we
two
talked
members
with them
so far.
before,
Yeah.
they were so sold on the Seaport that there was nothing we could do to shake their trust in what Seaport was going to do. And I mean, I made every effort I could, but they just weren't buying it. So you spoke to two members. We will be having an ICTC meeting on next week.
Could you bring that up, please?
I think this would be the
Perfect.
ideal venue for that. I will speak
Agreed.
to Mr. Baza and see if we can get it on the agenda for discussion, and possibly getting an ICTC to, since it is with a transportation issue, to actually, and then usually two members of the Board of Supervisors are in attendance. So that gives us a real strong flavor as to their sentiments as relate to Seaport.
I think that would be excellent, Ms. Sanders. Mr. Durand, if you could bring it up in your city manager meetings, and then also I think that at the next League of California Cities quarterly meeting here, it should be on the agenda for the mayors to discuss, to see if there's others that would like to get involved from a regional basis. I just think that that's the wrong decision to make. If we are looking to attract investors to fly down here, we think that they're going to fly into San Diego, get over to the regional, and then fly down here? No. They're going to rent a car and drive, or they're going to go to Yuma. And fly out of Yuma.
Say who came up with the bright idea, if you want to get to L.A., leave here, fly to Yuma, and then fly into L.A.
You know, I've been on
What a
these.
mess.
So, well, let's, Mr. Mayor, with the concurrence of the council, let's suggest that this go forward to the ICTC.
Agreed.
And then see how they, what views that will come from there with the Board of Supervisors. I might add that Mr. Duran is now the new chair of the management committee for ICTC.
Yay.
Yes, and so I think that's speaks volumes for the leadership that this city has demonstrated. And then we can bring it back to the council. And in February, we will have a league division meeting. So that gives us time.
Perfect.
Thank you.
A couple of things. Mr. Jackson and I met today with the Strategic Planning Task Force, and we have scheduled our community forums. Those are scheduled, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Duran, but February 6th.
We have a tentative date of, I'm sorry, I left those
Yes,
behind.
I think February 6th
And the third.
will be the first one scheduled at the Adult Center, Community Center. And then February 13th
That's the next.
at the Public Library. Both of those meetings will start at 5:30, and we anticipate going on until about 7. We are, city and ourselves are going to try to do a lot of outreach, get the word out to the community, and attempt to motivate groups to participate. It'll be the same format that we've used in the past, in which the areas are broken down into 4. Can you remind me, Mr. Duran?
Yes.
Recreation and...
It's the 4 goals that you currently have, which is you have recreation library, you have safe neighborhoods, transportation, and thank you, economic development, big one. And we've already been receiving the input, as you'll indicate.
And we anticipate coming back to the council with a full report and a plan in our April meeting. Right. I need to let the council know that because of time conflicts that are coming, I will not be able to be at the council meeting on February 19th. I'll have to be absent that day. I have a couple of public service announcements based on other things that I do in the community. Through IBC, we're publicizing, and you will hopefully begin to see this through the chambers. We are organizing a marketing seminar on January 25th, marketing in the age of social media. We have an author from San Diego that has written books on the utilization of social media for marketing purposes that will be a keynote speaker. It's a free event. Anyone that's interested, just go to the IBC webpage, and there's both information about the event and means of registering it. Lunch is not provided, but we'll have some heavy hors d'oeuvres for those people that want to come in early. So that's January 25th. Those of you that know me also know that I'm on the IVROP Community Foundation Board, and our main fundraising event is our Dancing with the Stars Gala, and there's 3 alumni of that event, including a champion on Dancing with the Stars. So our 2013 stars are lined up. That event is going to be on April 25th also. We're hoping that that you join us. It's a sold-out event. Every year we sell out, and it keeps getting better. And the benefit of that also, obviously, is that every year, this year we anticipate through the foundation to award about $20,000 in scholarship funds to high school seniors moving on to post-secondary. So the stars that I'm at liberty to disclose, because they've all confirmed, they all accepted, are Maritza Hurtado, who's the mayor of Calexico, will be one of the stars. An attorney, Veronica Henderson, a local attorney in El Centro, is participating. Dr. J, the dentist, is participating. An MD from Brawley, Ramona, I can't think of her last name, Koretz or something to that effect. She's got a medical segment on Channel 13 News, will be participating. And a gentleman that owns a Pestmaster in the Valley, Gabe Cordero, will be participating as the stars. And we're waiting for one more. We're awaiting confirmation for that, so we don't want to disclose that until people have confirmed. But it's a great event. Provides a tremendous benefit to our community, to our young people that are going on to school, and hope to see you guys there. You'll be at the Barbara Worth Country Club, yes.
Okay, for those of you...
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple quick things. AT&T had a no texting and driving event last week, and I was asked to participate in that, as well as Commander Medueno from El Centro Police Department. Spoke to about 800 children, or I shouldn't say children, high school students at Southwest High School. Very strong message, very powerful message that they had. They had a video called The Last Word, and it highlighted 4 families that had the the last 3 words on their text on their phone before they were killed. And one was permanently disabled for the rest of his life. So a very powerful message. I think it hit home to the students. Also participated in the Snowbird breakfast. Cheryl also was there and welcomed everybody. Another good turnout, great weather, and commend the El Centro Chamber on another job well done. Thank you.
Okay, let me get a couple of things out of the way. The Martin Luther King breakfast, Friday, January the 18th, at 8 a.m. at the old Eucalyptus Schoolhouse. A reincarnation of the Martin Luther King I Had a Dream speech will be delivered by Garrett Sanders on the courthouse steps at noon. On Monday. For those of you who get the Western Cities magazine, I'm sure you saw in there Vegas Walker picture. She was in there. So if you haven't seen it, I think it was what, December?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
It was after the annual conference.
Yeah. So if you haven't got one, it's a hot picture.
She's offering autographs.
Yes. I had an opportunity to be at the bus terminal for January the 8th, and that had a larger turnout than I had expected. It really was nice. Of course, when Mrs. Sanders got there, she started giving orders, and then things started to change, but she made everything better, that's for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon.
She really made it better. And then we had the vendor's preference, which was on the 14th, which was yesterday. We had an opportunity to tighten that up a little bit, make it better, we think. And then I went to the Chambers meeting on the 14th, which was also yesterday, and had a chance to fill in for Cheryl. But I wasn't really filling in for Cheryl. I was just doing it myself. She would be filling in for me, but it's hard to fill in for Cheryl because they just love her at the Chamber. And, well, anyway, it's going to take them a little time to love me like that. But anyway, that's what I've done. And so...
We'll see you next Tuesday.
yes.
Some of us may see you Friday.
Also, don't forget that we're going to adjourn to the community center. We have a meeting January the 29th at 6 o'clock p.m. It's with the planning department. So, planning commission.
And I've disclosed that due to a work commitment, I will be out of town for 3 days that week in Thousand Oaks and unable to attend on the 29th.
We have a motion to
Move for
adjourn.
adjournment to...
Mrs. Sanders made the motion. Mr. Jackson, you gave the second. All of those in favor? Well, please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Happy New Year.